The steady beeping of the monitoring machines filled the room with a constant, almost rhythmic presence. The sharp, sterile scent of rubbing alcohol hung in the air, not just a smell, but almost a physical reminder of pain. Soft afternoon light crept gently through the curtains, casting long shadows across the pale floor of room 203. Two men lay there. On one side, a young man in his early 20s, his arm in a sling, his leg wrapped tightly in bandages. A motorcycle accident had brought him here, but it wasn't just his body that ached. It was something deeper. He shifted restlessly in bed, impatient with the slow passage of time. His phone was dead. The days blended together, quiet, long, and lifeless. On the other side of the room was an elderly man, white hair, delicate, hands and eyes that always seemed fixed on the window. He barely moved, but there was a strange peace about him, a calmness that stirred curiosity. His breathing was soft and steady, his voice a whisper, yet always kind. He was the kind of person who looked at the world differently. On the first day, they exchanged only names, dry words like checking off a box. On the second day, a quiet good morning became a smile. And by the third, curiosity had started to melt the silence. "What do you see out that window?" the young man finally asked, glancing over with a hint of envy. After all, the older man had the better bed, the one beside the room's only window. The old man slowly turned his head, his eyes lighting up with unexpected excitement, as if that question was a secret key that unlocked something beautiful inside him. "Would you like me to tell you?" he asked, his voice frail, but oddly spirited. The young man gave a small nod. With his eyes half closed and his body still frail, the elderly man slowly turned his head toward the window. The quiet of the hospital room was broken only by the soft beeping of the machines, a subtle metronome marking the rhythm of two lives suspended between now and whatever came next. "There's a beautiful square out there," he whispered, a faint smile forming on his lips, as if he were seeing something no one else could. "Really? Tell me what's in it?" young man asked, eyes lighting up with curiosity, like a child waiting for a bedtime story. The old man took a deep breath. Then, with a soft and steady voice, he began to paint the scene, not quickly, but with the care of someone who knows how to treasure each detail. Beneath a wide tree, there's a wooden bench where a couple meets every day. They sit close, lost in each other's gaze, as if time itself had slowed down just for them. He always brings a book. She wears a sunflower in her hair. The young man smiled, closing his eyes, letting the image take shape in his mind. Farther down the path, the old man continued. A flower vendor pushes her cart overflowing, with colors so vivid they seem to have been plucked straight out of a dream. She smiles at everyone, and even those in a bad mood can't help but smile back. Her joy is contagious. He paused for a moment, as if he could hear the sounds drifting in through the window. A little child runs between the trees, laughing wildly, with her mother chasing after her, pretending she can't catch up. And that laugh, oh, that laugh, it's the purest sound in the world. It washes something clean inside you. The young man took a deep breath, and for a fleeting moment, he could almost hear it too, echoing softly in the quiet of the room. In the center of the square, the man said gently, "There's a white fountain. The water flows slowly, like it's whispering ancient secrets. Butterflies dance around it, like musical notes drifting through the air. Sometimes a bird lands on the edge, takes a sip, and flies off politely, so as not to disturb the peace and the smell. The young man asked with a grin. It smells like wet earth, fresh flowers, and ice cream. There's an old ice cream cart near the fountain. It plays a soft, vintage tune. Children line up with coins in hand, waiting for bright-colored popsicles that melt too quickly in the afternoon sun. Even though he couldn't see a single thing, the young man saw it all. Every scene came alive in his mind. With each word, the weight of his body on that bed seemed to fade. He felt lighter, calmer, as if, just for a little while, he had actually been there, in the square, among the laughter, the flowers, and the music. When the old man finally fell silent, the room returned to stillness. But now it was a silence filled with color, filled with warmth, filled with life. That window didn't just show the world outside the hospital. It revealed something inside the soul. And the young man was beginning to understand that seeing doesn't always require eyes. Night fell quietly outside. The city might still have been alive, cars passing, lights flickering, people coming and going. But inside that hospital room, everything seemed to stand still. The old man coughed more than usual, each breath, yet he still whispered beautiful words, as if the world outside lived on within him. Tomorrow, I'll tell you. Where a band plays on Sundays. But tomorrow never came. During the quiet hours of the night, the old man passed away. Without fanfare, without farewells. Like someone quietly leaving a room, leaving only silence and memories. Sitting there, eyes fixed on the window, he didn't quite know what he was feeling. Grief, yes, but something deeper, too. He had lost more than just a roommate. He had lost someone who, with simple words and a gentle heart, had opened windows inside of him. Days passed. The room was quieter than ever. The young man missed the old man's stories, the imaginary strolls, the vivid descriptions that turned even the sounds of the machines into the soundtrack of a colorful world. The loneliness, once bearable, came back with force. It felt as if time had stopped again, but this time without hope. That's when he made a request. He wanted to switch beds. He needed to see with his own eyes everything that had been described so beautifully. The square, the fountain, the flowers, the children running. His request was granted. The next day, with help, he was moved. He lay down carefully, adjusted his pillow, took a deep breath, and with a pounding heart, turned his face toward the window. But what he saw made his chest tighten. There was no square, no flowers, no fountain, no trees, no band, no children's laughter. The window looked out onto a brick wall, rough, gray, lifeless. Shocked, he called a nurse passing by in the hallway. "Miss, the man who stayed here before me, did he really see all those things?" "Oh dear," she said gently, with a tender look and a sad smile. "That man, he was blind, and he knew he didn't have much time left." "Blind," the young man whispered, barely able to speak. "Yes, but every morning, he said he liked to imagine beautiful things, just to make the room less sad." The young man said nothing. He simply looked back at the wall, and for the first time, that wall looked different to him. No longer a barrier, but a canvas. There, he understood the power of a soul that, even in darkness, chose to see the light, and that, even without eyes, could see more clearly than many with perfect vision. The window was empty, but inside him, the stories still lived on. The nurse's words echoed like thunder in the young man's mind. The old man was blind, and yet he had been able to see the world with more color, more lightness, more poetry than the young man who had perfectly healthy eyes. A heavy silence filled the room, but it was not an empty silence. It was the kind of silence that speaks, that teaches, that transforms. And then he understood. The most beautiful world is not the one seen with open eyes, but the one we cultivate with love, hope, and imagination inside the heart. The brick wall still stood there, imposing, still unchanging. But now, when he looked at it, the young man could see so much more. He saw the couple in love, exchanging glances beneath the tree. He saw the fountain flowing with clear water, butterflies dancing all around. He saw children laughing, running after colorful ice creams. He saw life, he saw beauty, he saw everything the old man saw, even without seeing. He had finally learned to look with the eyes of the soul, and in the silence of the room, between soft sighs and sweet memories, he closed his eyes and smiled, whispering with gratitude, "Thank you, sir, for lending me your eyes, even without knowing it." From that day on, the world would never be the same, because now he knew the true window was not on the wall. It was inside himself.